Sawmills are still a bottleneck where some are still closed, some have been hit by trade action. If you really want to save on a reno project, it might mean a few months more or into next year before we see prices that are on pre-pandemic levels.
I'm Natalie Nanowski, and this is Scotiabank's Midweek Exchange, where we break down those big economic issues and explain what they could mean for you. Brett House is here to help us with all of that. He's Scotiabank's VP and Deputy Chief Economist. Hey, Brett.
Hey, Natalie, good to see you.
Good to see you. So let's jump right into it. The pandemic saw lumber prices really skyrocket as people started renovating their homes. But since the end of May, those prices have finally been starting to trend downward. More so on the wholesale side, though. So, how long before customers start seeing those prices, those lower prices at hardware stores?
Well, there's an old saying that the best cure for high prices is high prices. When you get prices spike like they did, you see a flood of more supply into the market, and you also see demand pull back a bit. And both of those things happened this spring. Now, what we're hoping is that that increase in supply, which has hit sawmills, is going to translate into lower costs for finished product when we go to lumber yards or to hardware stores. That hasn't happened yet because those sawmills are still a bottleneck where some are still closed, some have been hit by trade action, and some can't find the skilled workers. So I think that means it's going to be a few months before we see prices start to come down for consumers.
Canada's first large scale event since the start of the pandemic is taking place. It's the Calgary Stampede that opened last weekend. And Brett, thousands of people are attending every single day. They're going to open air concerts. What does this mean for the reopening of economic activity in Canada?
The Calgary Stampede in a typical year generates over $500 million for the Calgary economy, and events like it, similar to it, are the PNE, the CNE, other summer festivals that really have a big impact on the cities and towns in which they take place. And they're also a sign of a broader reopening in the service sector, which accounts for about 60% of economic activity in Canada. Maintaining the momentum they represent, though, is really contingent upon having contact tracing in place so that if we get any outbreaks, we can stamp them down quickly. We're all over the pandemic, but if we're going to keep opening big things like the Stampede, we've got to have contact tracing in place and it's got to be effective.
Okay, so what should we look forward to in the coming week when it comes to lumber and when it comes to big events in Canada?
Well, I think one of the things we're going to have to watch is progress on the fire season in Alberta and British Columbia. So far, it's off to an early start, and that could mean that that hope for decline in finished lumber prices is going to be a bit more delayed than we'd otherwise expect because fires could shut down log processing plants or sawmills. So the fire season is going to be a big determinant of whether it's a good time later this summer to do that deck project or that other reno project. The other thing we're going to have to keep watching, and I'm sorry to keep talking about the pandemic, is how things go in Calgary in the wake of the Stampede. Do we see an outbreak of the new variants? Do we see case numbers go up? And will that start suggesting that we need to impose restrictions again? I'm hopeful that's not the case, but we need to be careful and watch.
We really do. So fingers crossed there, Brett. Thanks so much.
Good to speak with you.
Good to speak with you too. And we'll have more midweek exchange coming up next Wednesday.